Hey everybody, as 2023 wraps up, I thought I would talk about 6 books that I read this year I absolutely adored, and I just don't think enough people are talking about. So hopefully I can get these 6 books that are under the radar on your TBR. Let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course, I hope you're reading an amazing book or 2 or 3 or 4. It has been a good reading time for me. I am busy and the year is ending and I know we are all wrapping up 2023, but sometimes I feel like at the end of the year, there are books that I absolutely loved that just not enough people are talking about. So I thought today I would try to rectify that situation and get 6 books that I loved and read this year that I just want to make sure you don't miss. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please get these books from your local independent bookstore. They are all out. Every single one of them is released, so you can get your hands on them right now. Or if you're a library user, get your library to get you a copy and, enjoy them because they are all fantastic. So the first book, and if you don't believe me, believe Ann Patchett because she talked about this book on her bookstore Instagram. I want to tell you about is Little Monsters by Adrienne Brodeur. This is out from Avid Reader Press. This is for those of you who loves like a family saga drama set in, I always forget, Cape Cod. That's where it is. It's set in Cape Cod. We have this family, okay? We have a brother, a sister, and a father. The father is like an oceanographer or some sort of marine biologist. He studies whale sounds. He deals with bipolar disorder, and he's sort of ending his career. And he's become obsessed with this project. And he feels, in order to sort of knock it out of the park, he has to come off his meds. And unfortunately, that's causing some things to occur. We have the son who is, let's just say, very, very ambitious, very, very conservative, and working to run for a public office, okay? And then we have the sister who is an artist. She's about to sort of have her big break, and she finds out she's pregnant. The other character is a woman who has found out that she is, her mother has finally told her after a long time who her father was, or she finds out who her father was. As you can guess, it turns out to be our marine biologist, and all of these lives come together. Friendships and family are redefined. Relationships are looked into in detail. There's some family history between the brother and sister that is dark and often left in shadow. But it really is a competition, only in the mind of the brother, between him and his sister for the love of the father. You know what it is? I think also the son, the brother son, is also trying to figure out what to do with his father now that his father's towards retirement age, and is wanting to build this sort of retirement community, this space age retirement community. So as I said, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a great interactions between the daughter and her nieces, sort of this empowering narrative that I really, really loved. I thought the writing was beautiful. I think Cape Cod in a lot of ways is its own character in this book. And all of the people are really fleshed out, and the drama is real, and it all comes to a very satisfying ending. I really loved it. So Little Monsters by Adrienne Brodeur, out from Little Avid Press. Highly recommend it. If you don't trust me, trust Ann Patchett. Okay. Next are 2 books from Europa. Now, I love Europa, but I don't understand why we don't hear enough about the books that they publish. And they tend to always publish such solid reads, for me at least. So I want to tell you about 2 of them. One is in translation, and that is Barbara Isn't Dying by Alina Bronsky. This is translated from the German by Tim Moore. And this is actually, okay. So you all know that I'm obsessed with things, usually about older women, but I am really sort of obsessed with these narratives about how age is defined and how relationships change as we get older. The starting of the book is where we meet Walter. Walter wakes up one morning and realizes that something's wrong, like he can't smell the coffee. And his wife, Barbara, for decades has basically just taken care of Walter. And Walter doesn't even realize basic things like how to cook for himself, how to clean, how to make coffee. And he finds Barbara on the floor this day, and she's not feeling well. And so he puts her back to bed. And this sort of instance changes Walter's entire life. He winds up having to become more self-sufficient. But at the same time that Walter is sort of finding a way to take care of himself, he is in complete denial that something is going on with Barbara. He keeps saying to people, Barbara will get better. But the inferred narrative from everyone else is that Barbara is ill and it is not going well. We meet his children, who have a very different relationship with him, adore their mother, but recognize sort of the fact that she has always, almost in a way, babied their father, Walter, and that Walter needs to sort of come to realization that the world is about to change. And it's these dynamics, these relationships, these sort of learning moments from Walter that are extremely poignant. The book is very funny, but at the same time has sort of this sense of dread over it, because you know that maybe the world isn't the way that Walter thinks it's going. I adored this book. I think it is one of those books about the end of marriages and the changes we make and what we take for granted, and when we realize we've taken something for granted, how it can change everything. I thought it was beautiful, and I highly recommend it. So that's Barbara Isn't Dying by Alina Bronsky, and this is translated again from the German by Tim Moore. Okay, so my second Europa book is a book that I thought if Richard Russo blurbed a book, more people would read it. But, you know, I am all about books that are about like a tiny town and all of the characters, hence a lot of Richard Russo books, obviously. But if you haven't read The Road to Dalton by Shannon Bowring, out from Europa, you really are missing one of my favorite books that I've read this year, to be honest with you. This is the story of a small town in 1989 in Dalton, Maine. It's a tiny town, and we learn about all of the social dynamics in this community. We deal with some really tough topics, if I'm being honest. We have a mother who is married to a new police officer who has just had a baby, who is dealing with some very severe postpartum depression. We have a woman who has been married for a long time to her husband. They have a child. I can't remember if they have a child. I apologize, because what I'm going to say is that she has been in a long-term relationship with her best friend, a woman who is married to a different man, and their child is actually sort of always been raised between these two families in a lot of ways. And both of the husbands sort of recognize that their wives are in a relationship and sort of have just atoned to it. Like they've just been like, okay, that's how this is going to be. There's a lot of those dynamics. There's just so much, I don't want to use the word drama, but it's about how small towns and the people within them infiltrate each other's lives in so many different ways. And in doing so, often help propagate experiences that they don't realize that they are part of. And the dynamic between these people is so well done. The writing is gorgeous. I just think this is a book that deserved way more attention than it got. I am completely a Shannon Bowring fan. I'm saying your name right? Bowring? Yes. Bowring fan. I'm obsessed. I cannot wait to see what she does next. And I highly recommend The Road to Dalton, out from Europa. Please pick it up. Okay. This book I read way back at the beginning of the year, but I've seen it around and I'm like, more people should read it. And that is Wayward by Emilia Hart. And this is out from St. Martin's Press. Won that cover, right? Just take a moment, that cover. This book is one of those multi-generational family tales with a bit of witchcraft involved. Takes place in 3 different time periods, 1619, 1942, and 2019, I think. We have 3 women, all related, and what you see is how they have sort of a way with nature and stuff like that. They're thought to be witches, and maybe they do have a little bit of magic in them. And we sort of get this saga of this family from the great-great-great-grandmother, Alina, Althea, I think. Altha, A-L-T-H-A, I believe, in 1619, who is accused of being a witch and all of that. 1942, we meet Violet, who is sort of she and her brother revolt against the family expectations of their very wealthy father. And then in modern day, we have Kate, who is running away from a bad relationship, finds out she's pregnant, and then starts to find the connections she has with Violet and Altha. It is really well done. It is entertaining. It's a little bit tense at times, but I really was totally bought into the story and how that all came together in the end. It was just a fantastic read. And so I just sat down, I read it, I loved it, and I'm really, really excited to see what Emilia Hart does next. I really am. Okay, next is a book that is much darker, much darker, probably the darkest. No, actually I lied. The last book is the darkest, but this one's pretty dark, but a page turner. And that is Sing Her Down by Ivy Pochoda, and this is out from MCD. Okay, so this is the story of two women that are in prison, Florida and Diaz, I believe, or Dios. Dios is obsessed with Florida. That's a nickname. I'll let you figure it out if you read the book. And it's just obsessed with her in the weirdest sort of creepy, dark way. But the pandemic hits, and both Florida and Dios are let out of prison earlier than expected. They're taken on a bus, they're put in a hotel in Arizona, and they are put there sort of to quarantine before they're allowed out because of the pandemic. However, Florida is from LA. She's from a wealthy family. She wants to get home. And so she winds up trying to find a way back, and Dios winds up following her. And we get these very stark images of the travel from Arizona to Los Angeles. Now the streets of Los Angeles empty because of the pandemic. Two women who are trying to figure out what to do. There's a lot of violence in this book, but it's because of sort of the way that they have had to deal with the world. Dios is creepy. She is very well written, but also in a way you sort of find her so real, if that makes sense. Florida just wants to get away, but she starts to find out that there's maybe more violence in her than she thought. And the climax is, please read it. So please read Sing Her Down by Ivy Pochoda. It really is very, very good. I don't know why more people did not talk about it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for those of you who like sort of those thriller slash, I don't know how to explain it. I don't. But it's really good. I hope that's enough. Last but not least, I'm saying this because I think this is in the US, but in the UK, this book just won Waterstone's Book of the Year award. But please, more people in the US need to read In Memoriam by Alice Winn. This is out from Knopf here, and this book will tear you apart. This book is set during World War I. It's we start in a boarding school. We meet a bunch of friends in an all-male boarding school. There's they've lost, or a lot of the students have left to go to war, and they sort of are aware that they're not coming back, that a lot of them are passing. And our main two characters sort of have this romantic tension between each other, but neither will admit it. And one character, I read Gaunt, who is half German. He winds up almost being guilted by his family to join the military because of the what's the word I'm looking for? The animosity that is being directed at them, and they want him to prove that they are truly British people. So he goes to war. He finds out very fast that the war is not sort of the fairy tale version that is being sold in England. The other boy, Elwood, is younger, and basically Gaunt tells him via letter, do not come, do not join, do not come to the war. He doesn't listen. And they get there, and their relationship is defined by the violence that is World War I. Lots of terrible things happen to a lot of people. There's a lot of death, of course, it's war. There's a lot of loss. But their relationship, they find each other in a way that they have always wanted each other, but it's maybe a little too late, maybe that's how I'll say that. But things change, and they wind up getting separated, and again, war just takes over. They both suffer, and eventually things have to come to a close. I don't want to ruin it, but I will say that for me, this was a very realistic idea of how war can affect the love between two people and the decisions they make. Sometimes when you care about someone, right, you are willing to leave them behind because you don't want to see what could happen to them. And the dynamic is really, really interesting. I don't know anything, well, I do know some stuff about World War I shouldn't say that, but I did not read this book with any sort of dive into historical accuracy. For me, it was really just a story of two men who needed and wanted each other and everything that got in their way. I cried. I loved it. I loved it. So that's In Memoriam by Alice Winn, a book that I really, really hope more people pick up. And I actually hope that all of you, let me see if I can get this stack up here, will pick up these 6 books. There you go. As always, if you are a return subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I couldn't do this without you. If you are new to my channel, I hope you pick up one of these books, hit subscribe, all the bells and whistles, and come back to see what I have to say about books. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.